Sometimes, especially when one is in love, the greatest pain one can experience is that of separation. However, that separation was caused by lying, cheating, stealing, or manipulating. The burn can be especially deep. And oh, I was in love all right.
And a little less than a year from now, we will be electing a Democratic president of the United States.
The only reason I'm standing here today is because somebody, somewhere, stood up when it was risky. Stood up when it was hard. Stood up when it wasn't popular. And because that somebody stood up, a few more stood up. And then a few thousand stood up. And then a few million stood up. And standing up with courage and clear purpose, they somehow managed to change the world. As president, I will end this war in Iraq. We'll have our troops home within 16 months. I'll close Guantanamo. I will restore habeas corpus. I will finish the fight against Al-Qaeda. This party, the party of Jefferson, and Jackson, and Roosevelt, and Kennedy, has always made the biggest difference in the lives of the American people when we led, not by polls, but by principle. Not by calculation, but by conviction. When we summoned the entire nation to a common purpose, a higher purpose. I run for the presidency of the United States because that's the party America needs us to be right now. A party that doesn't just offer change as a slogan, but real, meaningful change. And I'll lead the world to combat the common threats of the 21st century: nuclear weapons and terrorism, climate change and poverty, genocide and disease. And I will send once more a message to those yearning faces beyond our shores that says, you matter to us. Your future is our future. I'm running in this race because of what Dr. King called the fierce urgency of now. Because I believe there's such a thing as being too late. And our moment is now. America, Democrats, our moment is now.
I was so ready for a change. After 8 years of our bumbling president, war and more war, and becoming a global laughingstock.
And so, in my State of the Union, or my speech to the nation, whatever you want to call it, speech to the nation, I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully. And America needs a military where our best and brightest are proud to serve and proud to stay. If you're a single mother with 2 children, which is the toughest job in America as far as I'm concerned, and you're working hard to put food on your family, rarely is the question asked, is our children learning? Our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we.
And there he came. He was smooth and articulate, intelligent and sincere, athletic and good-looking. He was so charismatic, star-like. He was our new hope, hope for a change we could all believe in. And victory was ours. Finally, for once, we had won. However, the honeymoon was short, and it was back to business as usual.
The way he reversed himself on a host of issues, on detention without the trial, on rendition, on state secrets, and on having lobbyists in his administration.
If you believe that we can go ahead and tell the lobbyists that their days of setting the agenda in Washington are over, they have not
which he talked about endlessly, and the audience were swooning over this, was he was going to introduce a new politics. He was going to have a politics of the people. He would take the lobbying and the lobbyists and the influence peddlers out of government, the money changers out of the temple. That was what he represented.
I will promise you this, that if we have not gotten our troops out by the time I am president, it is the first thing I will do. I will get our troops home. We will bring an end to this war. You can take that to the bank.
All of the jokes here tonight are brought to you by our friends at Goldman Sachs. So you don't have to worry. They make money whether you laugh or not.
You can take that to the bank.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
One by one, the red pill will examine the issues our media and education system conveniently ignore or try to obfuscate. We will explore lots of ideas. The deception is varied and staggering. I leave it up to you to connect the dots. Don't worry, your critical thinking will come back to you. Remember, don't trust me. Don't trust anyone. Do your own research.
Somebody, somewhere, stood up when it was risky. Stood up when it was hard. Stood up when it wasn't popular. And because that somebody stood up, a few more stood up. And then a few thousand stood up. And then a few million stood up. And standing up with courage and clear purpose, they somehow managed to change the world.
Because the only truth you know is what you get over this tube. Right now, there is an entire generation that never knew anything that didn't come out of this tube. This tube is the gospel, the ultimate revelation. This tube can make or break presidents, popes, prime ministers. This tube is the most awesome goddamn force in the whole godless world. And woe is us if it ever falls into the hands of the wrong people. And that's why woe is us that Edward George Ruddy died. Because this company is now in the hands of CCA, the Communication Corporation of America. There's a new chairman of the board, a man called Frank Hackett, sitting in Mr. Ruddy's office on the 20th floor. And when the 12th largest company in the world controls the most awesome goddamn propaganda force in the whole godless world, who knows what shit will be peddled for truth on this network?